I have a source who, I'm not going to say who it is, but they spoke to someone in the feds about the situation, and they say that Diddy's going to get bail.
They go on to say, quote, it maliciously and baselessly jumps to the conclusions that Mr. Combs is a, quote, monster and a, quote, embodiment of Lucifer with, quote, a lot of similarities to Jeffrey Epstein.
The scene begins chaotically. Sean Diddy Combs, the creative force behind some of the most memorable moments in music history, is currently at the center of a legal battle. The accusations, which include racketeering, trafficking, and charges that have...
Listen, I've been saying this the whole time. I've been on Piers Morgan. I've done other podcasts. Like, I do my own podcast. I say this. I'm like, I'm still not totally sure what he's being charged with. That's such a big deal to the point that he's in federal custody with no bail. I simply don't get it. It's a one-man RICO. He's charged a RICO, and he's the only one charged. I've never heard of a one-man RICO before. Boosie calls it a FRICO.
Gilbert Arenas got down with Vlad, who has been keeping tabs on culture for more than 10 years, to share his thoughts. And he unloaded like a pro. The arrest of Vlad Diddy isn't the smoking gun. Rather, it's being presented as a shock-inducing circus act. He has saw this happen before, with bigger headlines and charges. But when you take away the showmanship, where's the
time?
Like, okay, so since a whole bunch of time has passed,
yeah,
right? What are the actual? See, I think because so much spaghetti's been thrown on the wall, and I think the Cassie video for people has said, okay, you're guilty of all this other stuff, and I don't think everybody knows what all the other stuff is.
Vlad claims that the footage cannot even be utilized in court because it has passed the statute of limitations. So why is the topic of simplicity still being discussed? It's a theater. Before a jury is even seated, it is there to influence public...
The big thing that is really interesting, and it's going to be a big problem for the defense if you look at this mock jury, the Cassie video. He is not being prosecuted for it. That's a state crime in California, and the statute of limitations is run. But I'm telling you, that video was thunderous for a bunch of these jurors.
There is an additional layer to take into account Diddy's track record behind the scenes. Regardless of what you think of the man, he is an experienced crisis manager. He's played the game better than most, weathered scandals, and built an empire. Vlad notes that Diddy's success was largely due to strategy rather than aptitude. He is skilled at reading people, turning around, and turning hardship into opportunity. If there is one thing Diddy excels, however, this is where things become unclear. There is an unavoidable emotional undertone while Vlad is busy deciphering the legal nuances. All of this is being witnessed by the claimed victims and their relatives. And the stakes couldn't be higher for them. Technicalities and legal loopholes don't interest.
I'm saying he's going to either get a time served, he's either going to be found not guilty in court and walk free, or he's going to get a time served plea deal.
Although Vlad is aware of this conflict, he remains firm in his position. The law is the law, and emotions don't win legal battles. Although it's a harsh reality, it continues to complicate an already complex situation. There is also the industry itself. Diddy is...
Everyone keeps saying to me, like, how did you keep, why did you keep going? Why were you there? I'm like, it literally is around me. If I don't stay at home, this is the atmosphere I'm in. Like, I have no choice.
However, we must not overlook the rumors, stories, and murmurs that have been going around for years regarding Diddy's notorious parties and the alleged secrets they contained. Despite his assurance, there is a feeling that this is only the beginning. Only the surface of the charges is charged. Below is a network of covert alliances and power struggles that are gradually coming to light. Even though Vlad believes he has everything figured out, he acknowledges that some parts of the puzzle... Vlad may have faith in Diddy's ability to avoid the accusations, but he hasn't fully examined the gravity of what lies behind the scenes. A whole system of power abuse and deeply ingrained industry politics that appears to be set up to protect its own interests at all costs. This is about an empire trying to patch its flaws before it all collapses.
Don't think they have enough on him. It's like, okay, look, so we're having a party and there's some on the table. If you want to take some cool, if not, I'm not going to shove your head in it. How do you prove that? You know what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying. How do you prove that? Were you there? Are you holding from 7 years ago? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, the things that people are saying all that. We're talking about court of law now.
Although Vlad believes Diddy can evade the charges, he hasn't looked closely enough at the seriousness of what's going on behind the scenes, which is a complex web of power abuse and deeply embedded business politics that seem to be set up to defend its own interests at all costs. This is not just about one person fighting for his freedom. It's about an empire attempting to fix its problems.
He will be sued. And I say will be because nothing has been filed yet by at least 120 people in the next 30 days.
The rumors of these notorious events have persisted for years. Participants would leave with tales that sounded more like urban legends, including secret tunnels, untraceable invitations, and strictly off-the-record activities. However, now that investigators are allegedly finding evidence linked to these incidents, the boundaries between fact and fiction are beginning to blur. According to one insider, Diddy is accused of organizing freak-offs, which were more than simply crazy parties. They were strategic power struggles. This theory holds that the events were about leverage rather than indulgence. Imagine a gathering full of well-known people, entrepreneurs, and up-and-coming talent who are all captured on camera in awkward situations. What does that sound like if it's not?
You know, if you say the wrong thing or you complain or you know, I don't know, there's an element where you're just, I guess manipulated in a way to make you feel like, oh, you have to please everyone around you. You can't say anything wrong. You don't want to say a bad thing, or, you know, when they're constantly asking you, would you like to do and you're like, well, I don't do, and they're like, well, why don't you do?
However, the secrecy was what really made these events unique and what has sustained the rumors for years. Visitors were screened before being invited. According to sources close to the events, you had to go through several levels of screening before you could even approach one of these parties.
He was using, allegedly, these events to invite them back to these private mansion parties and hotel parties and God knows what else. But he was utilizing the branded events to be able to, you know, get the girls to come over to his private spaces.
Although the parties were famous, they weren't what you might expect. Yes, there were opulent spreads, opulent furnishings, and music playing on cutting-edge sound systems, but those were only the obvious diversions. Whispers claimed that the sensation of the free-for-all atmosphere, which ostensibly made it difficult to distinguish between imagination and reality, was the true attraction. Participants frequently spoke of it. The issue of the tunnels comes next. Indeed, tunnels, according to a number of reports, Diddy's mansions included underground passageways that connected various rooms and even led to other estates. The concept...
Well, first of all, I can only imagine how sloppy Sean Combs was with evidence when he got busted with those 2 machine guns or 3 machine guns with the altered serial numbers. So I really don't trust Sean Combs or the people around him's ability to properly cover up anything. So I envision that you're going to see a trial, payments from his Amex for flights for people, straight payments directly from his company to people.
However, the sense of authority that apparently pervaded these meetings is maybe the most unsettling aspect of all these tales. Whether they knew it or not, the guests were there to perform, not just a party. Diddy allegedly had a way of deftly influencing...
Time frame is important because this happened in hotels, in places that have surveillance, that there's records that could be consistent with his testimony about when he alleges that these parties took place. He probably has his own information about who attended the events. When you're somebody like Sean Combs and you're such a celebrity and you're engaged in this type of behavior, people around you are memorializing it on their own.
However, we must not overlook the actual legal battle, since that is where things become even more complicated. Some are unsure, but Vlad might see a way for Diddy to avoid the accusations. The feds don't lightly accuse someone of a RICO case. This goes beyond a few individual occurrences. Diddy's legal team is definitely working.
Thought that he was above the law, so I can only, think that, he was sloppy in the way that he did these crimes. That there's probably a trail of evidence, not only involving him, but everybody in his circle that he would, delegate these responsibilities to. And those people are when they're.
Speaking of perception, let's also discuss the response, or lack thereof, from the industry. Some people are supporting Diddy, while others are staying away. But this is where things start to get interesting. A number of well-known figures have gone remarkably quiet, and not in a coincidence manner. These people have established their reputations for speaking.
I'm not surprised with the decision. I'm surprised that Judge Subramanian entertained it. He held a 2-hour hearing, which we were covering live, and he issued a 5-page written order. Most other judges, including the 2 previous judges, to consider this issue, summarily denied the bail motion. I think a lot of it stems from Judge Subramanian being a newer judge. This is a Biden appointee.
It is evident that this case has rocked the entertainment industry, and the consequences are merely getting started. Rumor has it that deals are being renegotiated behind closed doors. Many people are reportedly keeping one eye open while partnerships are being reevaluated. Because Diddy won't go down alone if he does. The issue isn't just whether someone is guilty.
You're hearing about all these videos with celebrities, not going to be part of the criminal case. And
Cassie video.
The Cassie video is going to be part.
Right.
We're going to get to that in a minute with the jury. But what we did was, number one, we showed them the prosecution's case from one of our documentaries. And then we showed them the defense from the current documentary.
This is the most outrageous part. Diddy has been keeping a low profile despite all the commotion, accusations, and conjecture. Even though his legal team is speaking for him most of the time, people close to him say he is as focused as ever. If anything, he seems to be viewing this as just another obstacle to overcome in a high-stakes game that he is determined to win, and perhaps
there has been no profit motive involved at all. The last word is profit.
He's already rich.
So whether or not he had the freak-offs or he did whatever.
Follow the money.
Well, there is no money.
Exactly.
I mean, the freak-offs aren't okay, the way in which I read it, it's not an illegal business. A freak-off is a freak, or whatever these things are, right? But the profit, that last word actually got my attention.
It is evident that this case has rocked the entertainment industry, and the consequences are merely getting started. Rumor has it that deals are being renegotiated behind closed doors. Many people are reportedly keeping one eye open while partnerships are being reevaluated. Because Diddy won't go down alone if he does. The issue isn't just whether someone is guilty.
I think one thing that I haven't heard said at this table yet is bribery. So he probably promised a lot of these people either fame, fortune, riches. Whether or not he delivered, I doubt it. But that's another matter entirely, right? So that's obviously, if he incentivized some of these people in order to participate in all of these things, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Is that a definition, or does that fit a definition of coercion in any way?